Well, good. Welcome again today. Today we're going to talk about equipment and all the things associated with that. So, one of the biggest things to understand is what kind or type of equipment do you need? And to figure that out, you need to really be honest with yourself about what type of work are you going to be doing? What are your mechanical skills and or how much do you want to be mechanicking? Of course, what is your budget? How are you going to come up with the money to purchase it? I realize a lot of you probably have a truck already, but just in case you don't, uh, think about all these things in the framework of with what it is, what you have matched with what you actually need. So, of course, when you're going to purchase, cash is best, credit, you can do some owner finance type stuff, leasing, or you can even do some trades. I've seen that work with some guys and girls. So, what type of work do you want to do? So, what type of work do you have to do? What type of work do you want to do? Keep those things in mind. Are you thinking more local or more OTR? Is this more of a clean deal or more of a dirty deal? Are you off-road in that line of thinking? Are you charging more hourly or more mileage? Pavement or gravel? What type of terrain are you in? Are you in mountain country? And therefore that will determine, you probably want a few more gears. You don't have to, but I most of the trucking I've ever done is lots of lots of mountains. And we always complain about those Flatlander trucks, those 9 and 10 speeds. Just rather have 18. And of course, your horsepower requirement. Of course, we all want 750 horsepower, putting lots of torque to the ground and all those things, but that comes at a fuel cost. And also keep in mind what transmission you may want for all those things and what, gear ratio you might be looking at. How heavy are you going to be hauling? Are you in a state? Are you going to be more local, kind of dirty, kind of quote dirtier job? Are you going to be hauling 120,000 pounds? That's going to be one type of truck. Or no, I'm going to be city mostly, deliveries barely hit 50,000 mile or 50,000 gross ever on my heaviest day. You probably don't need as much truck. Just what kind of work are you planning to do? And each truck configuration might determine if you have a truck, the truck you have might determine the kind of work you should do, but it's okay. Any truck will do any job for the most part. What we call this, or what in business terms we call this, positioning. Think about your exact role in the industry, the entire trucking industry. Where are you? I'm a hot shot doing OTR, or I'm a dry van local, or I'm whatever it is. Just decide who you are, where you want to be. Might not be where you are today, but just know those things. What do you want to do? What do you have to do? Sometimes is a bigger question. Second thing is, what are your mechanical skills? What can you fix, honestly? Now, what do you want to fix, honestly? And again, we're thinking about this in terms of which equipment, which truck we should buy, and or should we trade out of the one we have, so on and so forth. You have your own shop, tools, knowledge. Have you done it? Like, does nothing scare you? Rebuild this and that, or is checking fuses and changing light bulbs kind of a big deal? On that note, I was driving, gosh, I don't remember how long ago it was. It really long time ago. And I was having some light trouble on this one trailer, and it was a drive all night kind of a deal, and I didn't want to mess with it. So I took it to the shop, to a shop there. It was a nationwide franchise type shop. And I'm just tired and I want to take a shower and go to bed. And so I just take it over there, and I'm going to go get some breakfast while they're working on it. And just, I don't know, the lights on the trailer won't work. Figure it out. Well, it turns out the work that I had done, the fixes that I had done worked, but I just blew a fuse. And so when I go back and they're like, oh yeah, well, we found a fuse blown and we changed that for you. You're so welcome. And I never felt like such a big idiot. I was like, I cannot believe I just had to pay these guys, I don't remember, a couple $100 to change a fuse. I just assumed it was a bigger part of the problem I had been chasing, but kind of funny. Little story on myself. But so do you own your own tools, or is it a big deal? Downtime costs a lot. Are you willing and able to deal with the aggravation of working on your own stuff? And where I'm going with all this is a little bit older of equipment, or do you need newer? We're doing all this based on the framework of the equipment that we should buy. What does downtime actually cost? Local, that costs a lot no matter what. But if you're way away from home, OTR, it costs a lot more than your local, where you're getting your work done, or if you're doing it yourself. Your home mechanic or yourself, like, is just a fraction of the cost than OTR, stuck, broke down, middle of the night, so on and so forth. Based on that, on the equipment that you need, should you get a warranty? This straight up, most of the trucks I ever bought didn't have warranties, but when I bought them, I made sure to get oil samples and all those kind of things. But when your entire business is riding on this one truck, this first chance out of the gate, this first go, you might really consider getting something with a warranty, because if it goes down, your entire business goes down, and you've got all your eggs in this one basket. And that risk of losing everything might really be something to calculate if a warranty is justified for you or not. Another thing to keep in mind is what kind of retained earnings you like to keep. If you don't know, retained earnings is the money you hold back in reserve all the time. You never let your account go below 10,000, 1,000, whatever it is. The more reserve you carry, the more it makes sense that maybe you don't need warranty stuff. And if you can combine, the warranties cost money. And if you can fix your own stuff and you like to carry a large cash balance? Maybe that's not a deal breaker, a warranty. You really need to think about what the downtime is actually going to cost. Not only are you broke down way away from home, that maybe if it's a catastrophic mechanical failure, it could be weeks or months before you get going again. Your overhead, your fixed costs do not stop just because bank still wants its payment for the truck, trailer, any other equipment you have. So those costs aren't going to stop. So you really need to consider those factors. So what is your budget? As it says my budget, but I want you to ask that for yourself. What is your budget? How much cash do you have or can you come up with? What kind of credit do you have, and are you working on it? Or do you not even know? Check it out. What money do you need to keep in reserve all the time? When it comes to this with equipment, just because you have some money saved up, you need to keep those retained earnings. You can't spend it on equipment because then you don't have them for retained earnings. So what cash do you have minus what are you going to keep in reserve? Capital comes in many forms. You have cash capital, obviously, credit. You have relational capital. Maybe there's somebody who could help you out in a relationship that you have. Also situational, because you work or worked somewhere or knew someone that could hook you up with something. And this goes for more things than just what equipment to buy. You use this capital you have in all the situations, all the challenges you find yourself facing. Another one is your education. In a particular topic, like, if you're a flatbed guy or girl, and you can use that to leverage to benefit you when it comes to getting equipment bought. Also trades, I've seen that a ton. You might be able to find, it might not be exactly what you want, but you might be able to find either trade some work or trade some other assets for what it is you're looking for. So you have all this capital in one way or another, and you need to add it all up and just really start getting creative on how you could put it all together, match that with the list that you want, or your wish list for your truck, trailer. And then you always ask, how could it work? Don't let your mind go and get blocked saying, oh, it won't work. It can't work that way. Always ask, how could it work? This is what I have. These are the cards I was dealt. What's the best hand moving forward? The next is how am I actually going to purchase? Now that you sort of have a plan coming together, just next steps. You're going to pay with the cash, of course, is the best. It offers very little risk. You risk the cash, but you don't risk all the things that go with credit. Credit equals risk. If you're unsure of that, or if you don't think so, I disagree with you. You're talking to somebody who has taken a lot of risks, credit included, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And when it doesn't, it really hurts. But if you're going to use credit, let's do it smart. Let's do it wise. In what ways can we find credit? Of course, your bank. You might be able to find someone who will own or finance the equipment. If they own it free and clear, they may do that. You might be able to get a personal loan from someone relationally. You can also lease. Uh, I scaled up one business with leasing trucks, and there's some goods and bads. Before that, I had a couple really bad mechanical deal trucks, and I had 2 trucks blow up, and kind of everything came crashing down business wise. And I thought, next time I'm going to let someone else take the heat, take the risk, take the liability of these things breaking down. So I went to a lease model, and we scaled up. Gosh, I think for that one, probably 6 trucks, 5 or 6. And that was okay. I personally couldn't stand the fact that at the end of the day, I was never going to own anything. I was making lots of payments for literally just peace of mind, but I still had to deal with things when they broke down, and all that aggravation happened, downtime, all that stuff. I just didn't have the mechanical liability. And so I probably wouldn't do that again, but I did it. It worked for that one. And away we go. There's also companies that you can lease to own. You lease on and go pull for them, and they kind of lease to own. And those deals are a little not fishy. Just be really careful that you're getting in with a reputable company who isn't going to end up screwing you out of your truck. The other one is if you can't qualify for financing, sometimes they'll do a lease, like a 5-6 year lease, something like that, and then a buyout of $1 type of a deal. You're basically paying it off, but you're using it in a lease format to get it done. And then, of course, there's always the trade, trading some work, trading some future work, leveraging your future work. I know a couple guys who got some trailers bought up that way. The guy who sold it to him said, just haul me one load. I have this trailer. I need it for like 1 or 2 loads a year. So if you'll pull it at a discounted rate, you can just have the trailer. And that worked well. And he did that for, I don't know, for about probably 10 years before the old boy died. And it worked out good for both of them. And of course, you can trade for other assets or trade for work or future work. Just the point of this is the world isn't black and white. It's very, very gray. Get really creative. Like, well, what if this could work this way? Or what if that? What if I did this or that? Never take no for an answer, and just keep going, asking yourself, how could it work? What could I do? And what if this worked out? Just keep working at it, and you'll find the resources you need. So we've kind of narrowed down what we want, what our budget is, what kind of a deal we're gonna need to make, meaning we've made those decisions. You don't just go kick the tires, go walk around one, kick the tires a few times, look underneath a little, and go from there, and take the guy's word for it. Oh, I'd jump in this thing and drive it from coast to coast. That's what we all say when we're selling stuff. I wouldn't do that. I would get a very thorough inspection, either by yourself or pay a mechanic to do it. And I always take a notepad, where my notepad is. I'd always carry one of these kind of things. And as I'm doing the inspection, bad focus. And I just write it all down, every little thing: seal leaking, broken bolts, brakes will need to, even if the brakes are quote legal, I would still always, if they're getting a little thin, I'd say brakes. And I'm going to use this list for negotiation. Be like, well, I got, give or take 10 grand to get this thing back going. And so I need you to negotiate with me on price a little. Even if you have to pay a mechanic to do it, to go out or take the truck to them, is way worth it. Way worth it to know what you're getting into. You can look at a lot of things, but if you don't open the hood, you don't crawl around and get dirty and look at every little thing. And don't be in any hurry when you do this. Take your time. Start from the front to the back, and then go from the back to the front, and look at from the left and look at from the right. Take your time with this. Any used stuff that is out of warranty, I always get oil samples, at least on the boxes and the engine. It will tell you if there's a potential problem. And of course, you can go new with warranty or used with warranty. And again, a catastrophic mechanical failure will really change your plans, and you're going to be in a world of hurt. So consider that. Consider how that's going to be. And you have to keep your RE, your retained earnings, high enough that you never run into trouble. Credit is risk. So if we were to start a business together and I said, all right, actually, let's do a different example. Let's just say you're going to borrow money from somebody who might break your kneecaps if you don't pay. That's ultimate risk, right? But when you think about being able to pay that credit back, and you think of the consequences, and you get that pit in your stomach, that little bit of fear, like, ooh, what if this doesn't actually work out? That is the risk. That's the issue right there. And of course, you need to take into consideration the cost of operating that particular vehicle. The newer is generally cheaper to operate, but you wouldn't want to go buy a brand new something and take it and do a lot of, say, dirt work with it out on some pretty back road type, beat the hell out of it. Those are kind of obvious. Another thing to keep in mind, if you are going OTR, idling versus a bunk heater, a truck with a bunk heater or an APU has a lot more value than idling. And we go into a lot of that deeper later. Leasing on with a company will provide a trailer and other benefits. Now, a lot of times you can sign on as an owner op under your own authority, or other companies will let you jump on their authority. The more things they do for you, the less you're going to make. The more things you're standing on your own, the more money. Now, gross money, gross income you're going to make, not net necessarily. But a lot of times you got your operator or you got your authority and you're going, you can lease onto a company, pull their trailers, and sometimes they'll dispatch and factor and give you steady pay and steady loads. And this really isn't a bad way to go. You lose out on the highs of the market, but you also miss out on the lows of the rate market. It'll keep you in business. You just got to get really honest with yourself. Look at that person in the mirror, and you got to know and understand yourself and what your needs are. I've been around myself a while now. I know what I will do. I know what I won't do. I know what I want to do. And I know what I don't want to do. And to talk yourself into doing a bad deal because you think, oh, I'll just buy this old truck. I know I don't have any mechanical experience, but I'll just figure it out. That's a little risky. Or I'm going to get 100% credit. I have great credit, or I'm going to use a co-signer's credit. If you want to ruin relationships, get co-signers. Yeah, drag someone else's name through the mud. That's great. Anyways, know and understand yourself and your needs. We all want big, shiny chrome stuff, but a lot of these trucks are workhorses, not show ponies. If you're after a show pony, do the parade and truck show thing. I would really encourage you to find whatever the minimum equipment level you can get by with to start, and then you can just upgrade over time. And just don't forget, a lot of these, not a lot, all equipment is a depreciating asset. Now, granted, as long as you're sitting in the seat, you have the potential to make money and cover its costs and even make money, but the asset itself is doing nothing but going down in value every minute. Okay, your homework for this section. Just be clear with yourself. Take the blinders off and just be real. What do you want in a truck, trailer? What do you want in equipment? Which is good. We want you to have nice things. I'm not saying buy an old junker all the time. But write the list of your wants, and then right next to it, write the list of the needs, the actual needs. Compare the lists. And then I want you to take your wants list and separate that into two sections, luxuries and conveniences. Now, chrome is a luxury. Okay. Decent radio is a convenience. Do you need a radio? No. It's a convenience. It's a pretty basic, if the radio doesn't work, it's cheap. Get another, get some entertainment that works. You can get through the day a lot easier. And then just stand back from all your lists here and just notice. This comes to knowing and understanding yourself. What you want might be completely different than what you need. So I need you to step back and look at these lists and realize what is you personally wanting, and then take that hat off and put a different hat on and say, okay, what does the business need versus what do I want? So change hats and make the right decision for the company. You as a driver can have all the things you want when you have the money, but the company shouldn't have to forfeit or fork over your wants. And again, what is the minimum equipment that will get the job done, that will get you where you want to go? And again, chrome is a luxury, not a necessity. Okay, well, that's it for this one. See ya.